Okay. So thank you for coming for today's session. So today we have another session which is creating a visual lab for engineering experiment using Keynote. We are actually Apple Learning Community Malaysia. Okay. And this is our schedule for sharing session with the team iPad for online education during the pandemic. This is our second phase of sharing session that started on 15 April and will be ended on 28 April. Today is the third session with Dr. Zakia. Okay, the session are presented by our expert. So there are basically Apple distinguished educators, Apple professional learning specialists, Apple professional learning providers, and also Apple teachers. Okay. So if you want to know more about us, you can join our group in the Facebook called Apple Learning Community. Basically, you can share an Apple learning and get together in build a learning community. So before we begin with our session today, I would like to remind again our online workshop guideline. So the most important thing is please ensure that your mic is on mute mode during the session, so we can have a very smooth session later. And this session also will be recorded as usual. And please use the chat features to ask a question during the presentation. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the program later. And do not use the screen sharing features when the trainer or the presenter is sharing his or her presentation. Okay? And for participants who require attended form like borang kehadiran and feedback form, all the form will be shown before the session end later. And for UKM lecturers, we have a SPAT attendant that will be displayed at the end of the session. Okay. So today we have with us Dr. Zakia Abdul Halim. She is a senior lecturer from University Technical Malaysia Melaka and also a certified Apple teacher. She has a mechanical engineering background and also an expert in non-destructive testing. She also certified ultrasonic inspector for steel plate level 1 and also pipe level 2. Today she will show us how utilizing an iPad for teaching and learning. In specific is creating a visual lab for engineering experiments using Keynote. So without further delay, I will give the floor to Dr. Zakia.
Thank you, Dr. Nizam. I will share my screen first. Can you allow me to do that?
Yes. All right.
Right. So, the moment I'm sharing my screen. So, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Nizamuddin, for the introduction. And thank you to all participants for joining us this afternoon. So for today's session, is about creating a virtual lab for engineering experiment using Keynote. So before we begin, let me introduce myself again. Okay, so I am Dr. Zakia Abdul Halim from University Technical Malaysia Melaka. So my background is in mechanical engineering. So I teach subjects like non-destructive testing and structural health monitoring. Right. So as Dr. Niza mentioned earlier, I am also certified ultrasonic tester level 1 for plate thickness and also certified ultrasonic tester level 2 for plate and pipe butt weld. So apart that, I am also an Apple teacher. All right. So I would like to show you today what I did for my subject, for NDT subject, okay, in order to create a virtual lab. Right, so I have to stop sharing first because I shared that in HTML. Okay, can you see my Safari web browser now? Can you see the plant inspector?
Yes, plant inspector.
All right. Okay, thank you, Dr. Maniza. Okay, so basically, I'm teaching subject non-destructive testing for about 10 years, and this subject is highly practical in nature. And I observe that my students have difficulties to relate the theory and practical. So I created a simple virtual lab so that my student can relate the practice and the technical. All right, so basically, this is my virtual lab. So this is the beginning of my visual lab. So it started with the industry, pre-knowledge, methods, quiz, and also tasks. Okay, it is a team assignment. So student can start anywhere, right? So for example, they want to start with pre-knowledge. So they will be guided to what is the entity all about. So for example, what is the definition of non-destructive testing? So they can read and also, okay, because this is still under construction, so most of the audio is not inserted yet, right? So let's say they are beginners and they already know, okay, this is the definition of non-destructive testing. So they want to jump through what are the methods. Okay, so they can choose any method. So at the moment, only ultrasonic testing is currently available. All right, so and they can go to like principle to see what are the principle of ultrasonic testing. For example,
Can you hear the sound? Can you see the sound?
so this sound is already recorded in the HTML in the Keynote. Okay, and I converted that into the HTML. Right. So ultrasonic is about sound. So can you hear the sound? You can hear, right? But can you see? Using this this visual lab, so they can see how the sound, how they can see the sound, right? And application of the defects, for example. So here you can see on the right there is back, next, and exit, right? So if this is one to guide the student where they want to learn. So if they want to
Welding is the
know more,
method of joining two plates together using heat to create fusion.
so if they want to know more, they can tap the next button. If they want to, let's say they already know this, so they can just tap back. Okay, so let's say this is next. So what's next? This is example of the
Of molten metals that are splashed during the welding process is called weld spatter.
right? So let's say they already know everything. So they want to start the experiment. Okay, so they can go to the, let's say, procedure. So there is two options, whether straight beam or angle beam. So let's say they go to the straight beam, there is three procedure here: calibration, measurement, and defect characterization. So they can start, let's say, calibration.
Adjust the test range to the maximum distance we want to inspect. Adjust the material velocity according to material of inspection.
So let's say they already done this.
Adjust the P delay so that the initial pass starts from 0. Adjust the D delay so that the backward echo appear at the end of test range. Adjust the magnitude of backward echo so that it reach more than 80% full screen height.
So let's say they completed this test, this procedure, and they want to go straight away to the let's say the quiz. Okay, so they can go here and find what is the quiz, right? So this is the quiz, and then this is given the question. So let's say they don't understand the question in text and they need help. Okay, they can just tap the help. Right, so all the data are given, right? So they can go back. Right, so let's say they calculated and they found this is the answer, right? So this is, we can say, because that is a wrong answer. So they can try again. And let's say they calculated again, all right, so this is the answer. So we congratulate them, right? So basically, this is the virtual lab that I created for my subject, right? So it is highly virtual, highly interactive, and it's look like the flow like an apps, right? So because a certain concept, it is not linear, so it is highly interactive. So we can tap, we can let the student choose which area that they want to learn first. So how do you find about that virtual lab? Can you give some feedback on this on the my virtual lab? Okay, Dr. Niza, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes,
Can
I
you hear me?
can hear you clearly.
Alright, okay. So participants, can you share with me what do you think about that virtual lab? Maybe you can
It's very interesting. I think it's very interesting and very good. And I'm really looking forward to make one, hopefully.
okay. Thank you, Dr. Maniza. Okay,
Welcome.
I already shared the link the Keynote for today's practice. Have you downloaded it? Right, so Dr. Nizam, can you share again?
Which one?
Can you share again the
The
link
link is
for
already in the chat. I will paste it again. Moment.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible to paste it on Telegram? Because my iPad only have Telegram, okay. And I'm use WebEx for on notebook. Thank you.
Right. So Dr. Nizam, can you do that for me? Please
I'll try.
in the Telegram. All right. So let's practice, right? So I have to stop this first because I need to use my iPad.
Okay, sorry, can I ask? The link is about car safety, sensor
Yes.
parts, purple zone. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes.
Receive it. Thanks.
Okay, let me mirror first.
Okay. So I already put the link inside the Telegram.
Okay. So this is basically the keynote that you can download from the link in the chat box, right? So it is about car safety, right? So let me show the end product, right? So let's say we have this and we touch on sensor, right? So it will link to the sensor system, right? So let's say we want to know about LiDAR sensor.
Can't see anything on
You
your
can,
on the screen sharing. It's only pitch black.
You already
okay.
started sharing or because we cannot see it? Yeah.
Okay, well, you cannot see, right? So let me share it again. Stop sharing. Yeah, let me. Okay.
You are sharing from the iPad, right?
Yes. So can you see?
No, there is no sharing. Yes.
Because at my screen it's already shared.
Your air server is working?
Okay. Alright, so alright. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see the screen now.
So it's already on my iPad, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Right. So okay, so this is basically the workbook for the car safety, right? So if we play it, right? So when we touch sensor, it will straight away go to sensor system, right? So it is so interactive that you can choose anywhere you want to learn first. Let's say on the LiDAR sensor, right? Okay, or after you go to the LiDAR sensor, you notice that, oh, you know, you got to know the part first, the car, right? So you can go to the, okay, so you learn what are the parts outside of a car, or it also allows you to go to next, okay? So direct you where to learn more about parts in the car, right? So if you learn, you already finished in the parts, okay, you want to go to the crumple zone, for example, right? So you can see the animation of the crumple zone, and if you have finished, you want to go home, right? So this one, the first slide is your home, okay? So when you touch home, you can go to anywhere and start again, right? So how to do that? Okay, so have you opened the Keynote? Let's do it together. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, everybody's ready.
Everybody ready. Okay, so in the first page, okay, so I already put the sensor, parts, and crumple zone. Okay, so here, if you can see, right? So that will be your buttons, okay, when you touch. Okay, so it will link you to next slide or other slide, right? So how to do that is just touch to sensor. Okay, so touch link. All right, so remember our sensor, okay, our slide to the beginning of the sensor is at slide 7. Choose that slide, okay, and let's test whether it's work or not. So because we already linked the sensor, right? So we will go to straight away to slide 7. Okay. So
Sekejap, Dr. Zakia.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we link to slide 7, yeah?
Yes, link to slide 7.
I see, okay. Thank you.
Okay. We link to the slide 7 because it is the beginning of the sensor component. So
How I choose number of slide? Because when we click link, it's only next slide, previous slide, or is it? Okay, I found it. Sorry, thanks.
all right, so I repeat it again on parts, for parts. Okay, make sure you select the correct button. Okay, so parts and tap on the link. All right, so link for the slide parts is started on slide 2. Right? Okay, I love to use numbers because it make sure that we are directed to the right slide. So usually I use link to slide and put the slide number. Okay, so about the crumple zone, right? So if we scroll here, it is here. So slide number 4, right? So go back to our home button here. Okay, so link the crumple zone to slide number 4. Okay, so then we can do that, okay, on the next slide. Right, so this is the beginning of the parts of a car. Right, so outside of a car and inside, we have outside of the car and inside of a car. Right, so remember the home button. Okay, we have sensor, parts and crumple zone. Okay, so we want to let the student choose which area they want to explore or learn first, right? So put the similar buttons here, sensor, parts and crumple zone, and link it again. Right, so sensor, we can link. Right, so again the link is the link to slide number 7. Part is linked to slide number 2. Okay, crumple zone is linked on the slide number 4. Right, so you have option actually whether you want to put parts in this slide, because if we touch part, okay, if we link this, okay, let's play. Okay, if we touch the sensor, it will go to slide number 7. But here, if we touch here parts, okay, it's linked to parts 2, slide number 2. So there will be no changes. So it's up to you whether you want to put it or not. But usually I just put so that it is consistently and nicely put on the slide. Alright. So here is our home button. Okay, so our home button is linked to the slide number 1. Slide number 1. Okay, so for back, okay, link to the previous slide. Is it too fast?
Yes. please slow down a little bit. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, right. So they have many buttons there. All right. So we just have to link to the right slide. Okay. For example, next. So we want to, when we tap here, we want to direct the student to car parts. Okay. So link to the slide number 3. Okay.
For back, which slide number?
Link to previous slide.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Back is the previous. Next is to slide. Or you can, it's up to you. If you want link according to slide number, it's up to you. Okay.
Dr. Zakia, I have a question here. What
Okay.
happens if you already link the slide to another slide, but and then you just drag the slide and then change the order? Is it the link gonna be the same or it will change accordingly?
It will change accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
So let's try on this second slide. So to test the hyperlink is that you just touch the play button here, right? Okay, play, right? Sensor. Okay, it works. Okay, another. Okay, play another one. Okay, so it goes to sensor. But here, this is on the slide 7. We haven't put the button yet, so we cannot go back, right? Okay, so how to do that is select all buttons. Okay, select all button. Okay, make sure you select the correct button, copy it, and paste to the next slide. back to the question Dr. Nizam asked just now. Okay, so let's see on the back button, right? So previously, we put on the previous slide, so it will maintain. But next, we put that on the slide number 3, right? Okay, so it still maintains slide number 3. So what we have to do is, we have to adjust, because our next slides will be slide number 4. Okay, but okay, let's check whether it's correct or not. So the link is still linked to link number 1, so it is correct. So about crumple zone, okay, still linked to slide number 4. Okay, the parts is linked to slide number 2. Sensor is linked to the slide number 7. Okay, so we can design it so interactively so that whoever use our visual lab can use it according to suit their learning style, their learning needs, whether they need to start from the 0 or we just select what they want to learn. All right. So similarly, right? So I hope you can continue that with the other slide, because we have 12 here. Please. Okay. So the only one, when you do this, right? You select, copy, and paste on the next slide, right? The only slide that you have to adjust is next, because we link the slide to the number of slide. Let's say we want to make it next slide, right? We want to change the next button to next slide. Okay. Remember, just now we choose that as we link that according to number of slide, but now we want to use next slide. Okay, what happened? Let's test. Okay, so when we go home, touch home, okay, so it will link to the slide number 1. So parts. So this is slide number 2. Next will be slide number 3. Okay, so we go to crumple zone, right? So just now we make the crumple zone is next slide. Remember? Okay, touch on the next slide. Okay, so it goes to the next slide. Okay, it is similar when you choose a slide number. Okay, and also the next slide, but using the so by using the slide number, we can make sure that the right slide, we link it to the right slide compared to back and next button, right? So I give you about 5 minutes to complete for the all the 12 slides. Is it okay?
Okay, we'll try first.
We will
Sure.
try. Thanks.
Okay.
So for other participants, do you have any questions so far you want to ask?
How do you make the animation for the crumple zone?
Sorry?
That is GIF, right?
Yes, it is a G. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I'll need to study on that.
Dr. Zakia, I have a question from the chat room from IT admin. He or she asks, will there be a demo later which is based on lab work such as the one which was shown earlier on the straight beam transducer?
So is it actual or only the do you mean the actual lab or only the simulation of the lab work?
The participant from IT admin, maybe you can unmute yourself and can ask the question. Oh.
Okay, but
Um,
the simulation. Okay, okay, I will show you again how to do that. Okay, how the simulation in the oscilloscope. Okay, on the straight beam transducer. I will repeat it again for you. Okay, but for now, can you just complete the keynote first? Okay, how the link works. Okay, you can see, let's say you change the sensor to the previous and back to the previous slide or next slide or on the slide number, the difference between. Okay, but in my virtual lab, I will put the slide, okay, I link the slide on the actual slide number. Okay, slide number, link to slide number 1. Okay, because it is much easier for me to track down. So let's say I want to rearrange the slide. Okay, or I think this is better put in other component like knowledge. Okay, so it is easy for me to track back. So usually I use the link to slide number, right? But it's okay, okay, and it's also but for the next and back button, okay, usually I use next slide and previous slide. Okay, we can also put the home button for the first slide. Okay, but usually, as I mentioned, I prefer the slide number better compared to the first slide. Okay. So, how's the progress? Have you done? Do you want to share your completed work?
I'm done it, but I didn't use directly with iPad, so I cannot show it. Maybe others participant can show their works.
Okay. So, let me stop sharing first. Okay. Is there any participants want to share?
I tak sure macam mana nak share.
Do you use your
Ya.
okay.
Moment, I will put it. Anyone can share. Okay, now you can share it. There is a button down there. After microphone mute, the video, stop my video, and also the third button, the share
I'm
control.
using iPad and Webex on my notebook.
Oh.
So I'm not really sure how to do that.
Okay, so yang
Tengok yang lain je.
okay. So the rest, which one do you want to share with me? Okay, so if no, okay, let's look at the completed version. Okay, so okay, let's go home. Okay, touch home. So we can go to this first slide, right? So if we want to see, okay, because maybe I already understand the car parts. Okay, so I want to see the crumple zone, right? So I put next, so that here they will guide that there is more on crumple zone. Okay, so this is the impact to passenger and back and next button. Okay, backs meaning to say in that crumple zone, there is a slide or information in the crumple zone. Okay, so when we go next, meaning to say there is more on that content, right? Then we can touch next. Alright, so this is what happened during an accident, right? But if you notice, there is no next button after this slide, okay, after this slide, because there is no next, meaning in the crumple zone, there is only 3 slides. So, okay, okay, this first slide on crumple zone, right? So there will be next, there is no back, okay, because it's the first slide of the crumple zone content. Okay, we go to next. Okay, this is the second slide, okay, and the crumple zone, right? So there is back and next button. Okay, because back meaning to say we can also always refer back to what is the crumple zone, what is the first slide or the first content on the crumple zone, right? So when we go next, there is next button, meaning to say there is more on crumple zone that you need to know. Okay, so it will guide the student. Okay, you have to go next. Okay, touch. It is so interactive that, okay, you have to go next. Okay, all right, so there is more on crumple zone. All right, but after this slide, there is no next button. Okay, meaning to say it's already completed. Okay, they already completed on this, right? So they can choose another area. Let's say sensor. All right. So here there is sensor, parts, and also crumple zone, right? So this is like a default, the main parts that you want to learn, right? So home, okay, the home button, and also next, meaning to say there are more slides, okay. But I also make that LIDAR sensor, radar sensor, overall system, ultrasonic sensor, and camera linked to each of the slide. Okay, let's look at if we link the LIDAR sensor first, what happened? So there's animation and this is the sensor. Okay, and we have option whether to choose back or next. Okay, let's take back. Excuse me. Okay, so it will go to sensor system. So let's say we want to straight away go to the overall sensor system. So it's completed, right? So we can see that it's overall and have animation, and we want to go home or we want to go back. Okay, so excuse me. So we can choose anywhere we want to learn, right? So let's say we want to go to next, right? So just now we go to the sensor. Okay, we touch on the camera, right? So, okay, what the animation? All right. So next, okay, this one is for ultrasonic. Okay, this one is for the overall. Okay, so we can choose which area that we want to learn. Okay, let's test the back button. Okay, so ultrasonic radar sensor. Okay, so this is how the link to the slide works. Right. Okay. Any question?
I think there are many questions that privately to me. So in general, I want to see here is that most animation here actually we can do it or we can did it using Keynote directly. So
Yes.
probably anybody can look at the video recording later. I will show you the link. Then we can learn from there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nizam. So basically, so I did it, everything is in Keynote, right? From animation, GIF, and also the link. So I found it is very interactive, and even my student, I already tested for 2 semesters already, and they like it very much because it becomes the preparation before they do the batch. actual testing, the actual practical. Okay, so my next objective is to show you about the simulation. Right, so if you notice in your workbook, there is no animation, right? Okay, so okay, you don't have this. Let's play again this animation.
Yeah, the animation looks good. There is one participant asking, do you drawing by yourself the pictures, the figures?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I draw it myself, but I'm not good at drawing. But I choose to trace. Okay, tangan kayu. So memang tak tahu. So not very good in drawing, but what I did was I find any image on the Safari and then trace it in the Keynote. So because tracing is already covered in another session, the other session, so you may have looked at a recorded session. So now I want to show how to animate this. All right, so can you go to the workbook and on this slide, okay, the overall system, right, to show how to animate. Are you ready? Okay, so let's go to the animation, right? So we have in experiment, okay, we have to follow the procedure. Okay, so usually when you do experiment, it is a very guided experiment and step by step. We cannot go to step 5 and only do the step 1 first. So it is like, so we have to plan what comes first and what comes next, right? So it is called computational thinking, right? How to let one step to another step. All right, so let's say this is the first, this one, all right? This green, okay, this green sensor that I would like to show animation, right? So you tap on that, okay? Tap on animation. Right, here I already put it as white and blink, right? So you can choose that, right? So let's say, so in yours Keynote, okay, it will appear like this, right? So choose any animation. There's a lot here. So there's scale, pop, bind, cube, move in, right? But choose the correct, the suitable animation for my case here is white. So I want to make it like that, right? So let's say you want to choose. So I believe in your Keynote it is like this. The direction of white is from right to left to right. So but you can change the direction, okay, from right to left. Okay. So if you want it to blink, right? So you can go to action and choose. Right? So you can choose pulse. Okay, if pulse, it will look like this. Okay, it's up to you. It according to the suitability of your experiment that you want to simulate. All right. So in my case, I choose blink. Okay. So you can do that. Okay, for all the shape. Right. So I use similar animation, white and blink for all the shape here, the shape color. Okay. So I give you 5 minutes to complete it. Okay, before I show how to arrange, okay, the build order animation.
Okay, Dr. Zakia, there is another question that directly privately to me.
Okay.
One of the question is that if the student doesn't have an iPad, how we can share this thing? What kind of file we can share to the student?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nizam. A very good question. Okay, so this slide, okay, we can convert it to HTML. So we export it as HTML and we can share it in the web browser. Okay, share the link with the student and the student can use web browser to open it.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So for those who's asking about the other type, what we can do is cannot like do the animation and anything. I will share the link later. Because we have the session starting the MCO. Okay, so we have a lot of video recording about our session, the sharing learning. Okay, all right, Dr. Zakia, you can continue.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's say we already animated. Okay, so we if you can see that on top here is on the blue slide. Okay, so there is three lines, three numbers here. Okay, so okay on top right. Okay, beside done. Okay, there is a three dot there. Okay, so put that. So tap on that, right? So you can arrange your build order. Alright, so here I made this green shape, okay, to white to animate after the transition. Okay, so we can arrange that. Let's say we want to show about the ultrasonic sensor first. Right, so the ultrasonic sensor is on the green here. Okay, we can make the order. Just touch on the animation and make it the top. Alright, so the shape will come second, okay, after the ultrasonic sensor. Alright, so this sensor has four because it is on the front and back ultrasonic sensor. Okay, let's preview what happened. Right? Okay. Okay, can you see the difference? Okay, before this, okay, the LIDAR sensor area come first, only the ultrasonic and so on. Okay, but now when we rearrange, okay, the order, right? So the ultrasonic comes first and only the LIDAR sensor area. Okay, so we can do that. So this one, we can arrange the order according to our steps. For maybe in this animation is not very clear because we can just put the distance or the LIDAR sensor first, then the ultrasonic second, come with the camera and also the what is another one? The radar sensor. Okay, but maybe in engineering, okay, when we involve procedure, okay, let me show you on my virtual lab. Okay, here, okay, there is a request to play again this one. Okay, so let me play it again.
Adjust the test range to the maximum distance we want to inspect. Adjust the material velocity according to material of inspection. Adjust P delay so that the initial pass starts from 0. Adjust the D delay so that the backward echo appear at the end of test range. Adjust the magnitude of backward echo so that it reach more than 80% full screen height.
touch as
Okay,
button.
Dr. Zakia,
Yes.
regarding your last presentation about your last slide about the what the oscilloscope and everything,
Yes.
there is a one question from the participant. Uh, he or she, because I'm not sure, asking how to develop that sort of simulation work. That mean probably is there any circuit or oscilloscope that we can connect with a Keynote or thing, or we just do it using a Keynote?
Okay. So thank you for the participant who asked. Okay, this one I purely did it on Keynote. This is all the shape, lines, and also GIF, okay, that I produced in Keynote. And what I did was let's show the animation build here. Okay, basically there is 40 animation. Okay, there is, so I animate one by one. So according to which have to come out first. Okay, so that's why in making the virtual lab, we have to think first. Okay, what should come out first? What should be next? And we animate, or is it should be come out at the same time, right? So for example, okay, here I make the straight beam transducer appear after the transition, right away after transition, okay, and the 100 mm here, okay, where is here the test range 100 mm, okay, appear after the straight beam transducer. Okay, here is the line. So which one? This line. Okay, it is basically the line that show here. So okay, this when you tap here, okay, so the line here it appear with. So let's go here. Okay, it's appear with. So meaning to say it wants to show the distance between the where is the 100 mm appear, right? So this one is after. Okay, but this line, okay, if you notice here, okay, on the right, on your left, okay, the test range, okay, it will appear this line together. It will appear together. So we have to plan, okay, which appear after that, which appear with that build. So we have to animate one by one. And also the oscilloscope is actually a combination of a few GIF and shape. Okay, so this is one GIF. Okay, so let me show. This one is one GIF. This is another GIF that we want to show that when the button we change the button, so there is a GIF. The number will change. Okay, so and there is another GIF here. So this is basically the signal appear, right? So I make it when you touch another button and it will appear. Okay, so there is, okay, is there any one? Okay, there is another GIF. Okay, so basically there is there are six GIF, okay, that I put it overlap so that it will appear nicely. Okay, let me undo that first. Okay, all right. So that when we play again, okay,
Adjust the switch to the maximum distance you want to adjust the material velocity according to material of inspection. Adjust the P delay so that the initial pass starts from 0. Adjust the D delay so that the backward echo appear at the end of test range. Adjust the magnitude of backward echo so that it reach more than 80% full height.
okay. So can you see the button blinking? Okay, when this I explain on the steps. Okay, so basically I put everything here just using Keynote. So because it is so powerful and so easy for me, okay, to visualize what happened in ultrasonic testing. Okay, so like my slide previously, you can hear sound, but can you see the sound? You cannot see, right? Okay, but using the correct instrumentation, okay, we actually can see what happened to the sound. Right. So I think that's all for my presentation, my sharing today. Is there any question before I conclude my presentation? Yeah.
Zakia, could you show to us how to convert from Keynote slide to the HTML?
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. So you have to do it on Mac. Okay. We cannot do that on iPad. Okay. Let me stop sharing first. Okay. So can you see my Keynote on Mac? Right. So this is, let's say this is the file that we want to convert to HTML, right? So this is our file. Okay. So export to. Okay. So we can export the Keynote to HTML. Okay. Export to HTML. There is option of HTML here. Okay. And just tap on next. Okay. So where we want to export, okay, our folder, and it will start creating the HTML document. Okay. So, right. So how to open it? I save it in downloads. So we go to the Visual Lab, right? This is the file that we converted. Okay, tap on that. Okay, so this is basically our HTML document. Right, so we can share the link.
Sorry, Dr. Zeka, we just see a blank screen now. Yes.
Blank screen. Okay. Wait. So you can you still see my sharing Keynote, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right, I will stop sharing first and share it again. Okay. Okay. So after we convert that into HTML, can open that in Safari. So according to the link. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, so because we converted the my presentation slide, so okay, for example, like this, okay, they will play the animation. Okay, so there is sound, so you can hear it also. But currently, the audio is still on the way to be put in. Okay, it's still under construction. Okay, so
Thank you, Dr. Zakia. By the way, may I know, is there any possible to convert to HTML through iPad?
no, we can only use Mac. At the moment, we can only using Mac. Convert the file, the Keynote file to HTML using Mac. Okay. So I think, is there any other question?
Just another question. Rather than HTML, can we convert it to another kind of type of file like EPUB or something like that? This is especially for HTML only.
Yeah, because we are using link, so it is best shown using HTML.
Okay.
Okay, so for I saw that for the student, is it for view only? Yes, they can only view. Okay, and tap according to which area they want to learn. Okay, they can edit. So for the editable, okay, we can share our Keynote, okay, like what just like what the Keynote that I've shared with you, but on the parts of workbook. Okay, maybe it's become the workbook, so the student can edit according to what they need to do in the experiment. Okay, so
All right. Is there any question from the participant? Yeah, I think it's a really good sharing for today. As we know that we are currently in the MCO or PKP period. So this is one of the app or one of the way that we can do to teach or to teach for the student during this time. Okay. Before I wrap up, is there any question anymore?
Dr. Zakia,
salam.
tricky question.
Okay. Takut.
Can we link between object and object in the same slide?
Object and object in the same slide.
Yeah, in the same slide. Link between object object. So let's say in the same slide,
Okay.
if we tap a shape and then it will link to another shape in the same slide. Is it possible in Keynote? I think it's not possible, right?
Not possible. I tried it. It's not possible. It can only link slide
Oh yeah, they're across the slide, yeah.
across the slide.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we
Right.
have also to thinking about how we can student can interact with parameter. So let's say if students choose another parameter and then it will show certain phenomena or certain graph, something like that. I think we have to think
Yes.
about that.
Let me show you. Okay, this one. Okay, it's already in. Okay, show the phenomena, right? Okay, so let's go to methods and right. So I already show that. Okay, let's say this is the task and what is the phenomena when. Okay, so they have different. Okay, what happens if they have different thickness? Okay.
Or the student can tap so certain button, is it?
Yes, they can tap on the certain button and to see what happened. Okay, let's say all right, so you increase. All right, so what happened to the signal that will appear? Okay, we change the parameter and the signals also will change. Okay.
Okay. So this one we tap on what button?
This one is next. Next button.
Next.
Yes.
Okay. So I think it will be better if the change is you want to vary the thickness, right?
Yes.
You want to vary thickness. I think it's better. It's better you put the button thickness, various thickness, and then the student can tap on the thickness, different thickness. So it's directly, yeah. So I think it's because in their mind they want to change parameter. Let's say if I want to change the thickness to 50 millimeter, so they tap 50 millimeter, and then it will show different kind of signal rather than next. So next.
Yeah. Okay. So I will change that. Just putting some button and it will be done. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the good comment.
Yeah. Very good, Dr. Zakia. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome.
Dr. Zakia, I have one additional thing to share with everyone is that once you have already exported to HTML, the student can't change anything on the content. So meanings to say that it is no more in the form of Keynote. If you were to share in the form of Keynote, students can mess it up or change anything in it as part of the content. So the best way is to export to HTML and share the HTML file to student. So when you share HTML file to students, then the students will be able to open it, and it's easier for you to manage so that the content will be intact.
Okay, thank you, Puan. Alright. So I guess before it's already for conclusion, right? So why I did the virtual lab is because in order to perform that experiment, we have to understand the phenomena. What is the principle behind that experiment? So that sometimes I think why people or our student doesn't like STEM subject is because they cannot visualize something that it is still they don't understand, they cannot visualize that concept. So by using visual lab, it's at least they are prepared. Oh, okay, so this is how the sound, okay, something that sound that cannot see. Okay, so when we visualize it in a simulation, then they can grasp the knowledge better, right? So why importance, okay, experiment is important is because it leads to their cognitive learning. So once they can visualize that, they can understand that better, right? And also inquiry methodology, so that they know, okay, they know the step by step of the experiment, so that they are prepared when they go to the experiment, right? And also the awareness of the current practice, okay, and also the professional ethics. Okay, so for example, my slide previously on the calibration, they know step by step what are the procedure to do, and also the development for the skill of the personal skills, so that because sometimes we have limited equipment, so that they have to share. But if they usually during that experiment, only one student control the sensor. So the rest, okay, they can get that from the virtual lab, so that they can, oh, okay, this is how it looks like, and they can make the lab session faster, right? So I think that's all. Okay, thank you for your time. And back to you, Dr. Nizam.
All right. Thank you.